going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Now, today it is time for the Week 23 predictions of the Premier League. Now, Week 22 was definitely a tough one as far as predictions go, but today, of course, we are going to be looking back on the Week 22 results and my predictions, and then going forward to my Week 23 predictions. Now, I want to give a massive shout out to Ansh Meta, who left his or her predictions on the previous video and correctly predicting the Man United score. That was a good job by you there. If you want to have a chance to be featured in these videos in the future, then leave your score predictions for the games I'm going to be talking about this week. The games that are playing this week are all in the description, so you can click show more and find them there. But first of all, let's have a little look back at the Week 22 results and predictions. Kicking it off, West Ham versus Arsenal. Now, I am an Arsenal fan. I have been since I was like 6 years old. I sort of grew out of it a little bit, like out of football, and then I'm back in, obviously, now. And if I did want a team to do well, it would be Arsenal. Basically, that's the situation I'm in. I watched the game, and Arsenal were absolutely dreadful. They couldn't... They didn't deserve a point. They didn't deserve any points, and rightfully so. They did lose 1-0 to West Ham. I predicted it would be a 2-1 away win to Arsenal, so I got that one wrong. The next one, Brighton versus Liverpool. I predicted it would be a 3-1 convincing win to Liverpool. It was just a 1-0, a Mo Salah penalty, I believe it was. So I got the right result, but the incorrect scoreline. The next game, Burnley versus Fulham. Now, I did say 1-1 for the video, but, you know, since then I did change my prediction. I did think Burnley were going to win. However, they managed to do it without a single shot on target. Fulham conceding 2 own goals in 3 minutes in the first half. Saw Burnley to win this one 2-1 instead of my 1-1 prediction in the video. The next game, Cardiff versus Huddersfield. I predicted Cardiff would get the win at home 1-0. Huddersfield actually managed to get a 0-0 draw, but they should have won. Looking at the statistics, I'll be honest, I didn't watch the game. I think if you're not a Cardiff or a Huddersfield fan, you probably didn't watch any sort of highlights or anything of that game. But Huddersfield had a load of chances and a load of possession, and Cardiff, I guess you could say at that point, are lucky to get away with a draw. The next game, Crystal Palace versus Watford. I predicted there would be goals in this game. I predicted it would be a 2-2, but if I did have to pick a winner, I would actually pick Watford. That is what I said, and Watford walked away with the 2-1 win. So I got that one wrong again, but to be honest, I'm not too worried about that one. The next one, Leicester versus Southampton. I predicted a 2-1 win to Leicester. It was a 2-1 win to a 10-man Southampton. So great job for the Saints there. They're really turning the corner, doing extremely well. The next game, Chelsea versus Newcastle. I predicted probably one of the most common predictions for that week, which was 2-0 to Chelsea, and it actually ended in another 2-1 to Chelsea, so I got that one right. Everton versus Bournemouth. I predicted it would be a 3-1 to Everton with goals either end, of course. It was actually a 2-0 in the end, thanks to a late goal from Calvert-Lewin, I believe it was. I watched the first half of that, and Bournemouth looked really good at the start, but then Everton, I knew if Bournemouth didn't capitalise on a chance in the first half an hour that they wouldn't get the win, and that's exactly what happened. The next game, Tottenham versus Manchester United. I predicted a 3-1 win to Tottenham, but Manchester United managed to hold on to a 1-0 win despite an absolute barrage of shots in the second half. Tottenham just unable to really place the shot into the net. David De Gea making some good saves. Quite a few of them were at him, but he was in the right place at the right time, and he did make some good saves, particularly with his feet. If Tottenham were just a little bit more clinical, if they put their shots, you know, a foot either way, the preferred direction, they probably could have had 1, 2, 3 goals in that game. But Man United managed to get the win there, which was huge for them. Man City managed to get a 3-0 win against Wolves. I predicted 4-1, so the correct winning margin, but after Wolves getting a red card in the first 20 minutes, a win was definitely off the cards there. I think Manchester City could have got more goals if their lives depended on it, but I think after the red card and being 2-0 up at half-time, they didn't really push for the goals. But either way, not a great week for me in Week 22, so it's time to move on to Week 23 and see how we do. I'm feeling good this week. I'm feeling better. We're kicking it off. We have Wolves versus Leicester, and Leicester have been kind of up and down of late. Obviously, they lost to Southampton, which was a bit of a shock. They managed to beat Everton. Again, a bit of a shock in their favour. Wolves did lose to Man City, and they will be without Bolly for this game due to his suspension and the red card. But I do think Wolves at home will have enough attacking power to get a 2-1 win. It's not often that there's that many goals in Leicester games, but I do think Wolves are going to get the win here, and I'm going to go with a 2-1 scoreline. The next game is Bournemouth versus West Ham. Bournemouth are at home, and from what I saw against Everton when they played, the first half they were decent. They just need to work on their finishing a little bit more, but I think being at home, I think they can keep West Ham down to just 1 goal like Arsenal managed to do, and I'm going to go with a 1-1 scoreline between the two teams here. I can definitely see that happening. The next game is Liverpool versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, the dark horse lately, not doing so great in the league, but they did beat Manchester City, of course, and I'm pretty sure who else did they beat? They beat Tottenham, didn't they? I don't know, they beat someone else. No, they beat Wolves. I think they beat Wolves. Not Tottenham, they beat Wolves. So I remember seeing on the Manchester City and Wolves game, there was a statistic that in the last 5 games, Crystal Palace beat both of them. So there is that. They do get some good results, but I'm going for a 3-0 solid home win at Anfield for Liverpool here. The next game, Manchester United versus Brighton. Man United in an absolutely amazing position after securing the win over Tottenham. I did predict that Tottenham would get tired and drop points, but I predicted it a few weeks earlier. I predicted they'd drop points against Everton, and we all know how that ended. They scored a load of goals. Turns out they just dropped off a little bit against Manchester United. But Man United against Brighton, they did well to hold Liverpool to the 1 goal. And, you know, if you're a Brighton fan, you see the only goal they score is a penalty. There's always going to be people that are dubious of that result, thinking that Brighton may have deserved something. But Liverpool did do well to get the point there. I'm going with a 2-0 win to Manchester United. You know, they've got like a whole week's break from the Tottenham game. They had the week in Dubai training there. They did look shaky in the second half. Tottenham were by far the better team. They just couldn't finish. And obviously with David De Gea in goal, one of the world's best, arguably the world's best keeper, definitely in form at the moment, it's going to be hard to get past him. So, I mean, Tottenham did score, but it was an offside goal, so we won't talk about that. So, yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 to Manchester United on this one to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 7 Premier League wins. Or is it 6 Premier League wins, 7 wins in a row, including the Reading game in the Cup, which is, I think, the best start from a Man United manager ever, which, you know, is amazing. I'm going to go with 2-0 there. The next game is Newcastle versus Cardiff. Both teams right at the bottom of the league. Newcastle really struggling lately. I am going to tip them to win this one, 2-1 against Cardiff. Cardiff, not the best travellers, obviously, on the road. I think with Cardiff's performance against Huddersfield and Newcastle's performance against Chelsea, I think Newcastle just looked better. I think Newcastle are going to be able to get the win over Cardiff in this game. The next one is Southampton versus Everton. Southampton looking like a rejuvenated side under the new manager, and I'm going for a 2-2 draw. Everton are a little bit up and down. You know, they struggle sometimes, but they did obviously get the win against Bournemouth. That was much needed for them to get back into winning ways. I think Southampton are doing very, very good. They're on the attack as well, because towards the beginning of the season, they weren't really scoring many goals at all, and I think they're doing a lot better at that now. And at home, with the crowd, the new manager, the players playing well together, I see a high-scoring 2-2 game, because their defence, there are questions to be had of that defence. The next game is Watford versus Burnley. This is one of my more clear-cut chances, I think. But then again, I thought West Ham were going to do better against Burnley when Burnley beat them 2-0. But I am backing Watford in this game. I'm going to go with a solid 2-0 performance from Watford. Watford actually managing to continue some of their decent form from earlier on in the season, keeping up high in the mid-table. I think they're the closest team to Manchester United and Arsenal in 7th spot. I think they're doing well, and I think they are going to continue. I think Burnley have turned a bit of a corner, and they are doing better, but I think Watford are at home going to be able to hold them. The next game, this is a big game. Used to be a very big game in my household, me as an Arsenal fan and my dad as a Chelsea fan. It is Arsenal against Chelsea. Now, with the way Arsenal played against West Ham, even though Chelsea have been a little bit up and down, with the way Arsenal played, and the way Chelsea have been playing lately, I think Chelsea, they should beat Arsenal. The form Arsenal are in, Chelsea should beat them, and it's tough to say that, but I am going to go with a 2-1 Chelsea win. It would be great to see Arsenal win in the same way I went for a Tottenham win over Arsenal, and Arsenal managed to beat them. I'd love to see Arsenal beat Chelsea, but I just don't see it. I do see Chelsea beating Arsenal. I do see Arsenal dropping down to 6th place, which, with the way they've been playing lately, I suppose is justified compared to Manchester United. I think there's going to be a very, very good race for not only top 4, but for the title as well, and for relegation. This year's league is more open than it's been for a while, and I'm very excited about that. The next game is Huddersfield against Manchester City. This one, there is no hope for Huddersfield. I mean, they did hold Man City to a 0-0 draw last season, which was pretty insane for them. But recently, obviously, the manager has left on mutual terms. I reckon they probably gave him the boot, to be honest. The thing is with Manchester City in a game like this, they could score loads of goals, or if they go 2 or 3-0 up in the first 20 minutes, half an hour, they might not push too much more. I know Pep Guardiola's not that type of manager. He'll want them to get 10 goals a game if they physically could. I just think the players, it is hard to put in as much effort unless you're against a side like Burton, where you know goals are going to come really easily. In the Premier League, it can be hard to just push through the effort if you've got 3-4 goals, but I'm going to predict them to do that. I think they want to make a statement. They won 7-0 against Rotherham. They won 9-0 against Burton, 3-0 against a decent Wolves side. And I'm going to go for 6-0 to Manchester City. That is a big one, but what a prediction it would be to get right. So we're going to go with 6-0. The final game, Fulham versus Tottenham. Tottenham did look tired in the Manchester United game, but that doesn't mean they didn't stop pushing. Their work rate was astounding. They ran more than Manchester United statistically, I think. And the second half, they were relentless, and they were very You could say unlucky, but you could say not clinical enough as well to not get a goal. Very unlucky there. Their run of no draws in the Premier League does continue. And they will be without Son Heung-min, who is going to South Korea, I believe, to participate in the Asian Cup. So it's all open, and Fulham, this is probably the best time for Fulham to play Tottenham at home. I think maybe they'll grab something. I think they'll grab a goal because they do have decent attacking power, but Tottenham have got to win this. If they want to stay within sight of the Premier League title race, they need to keep ticking over results, especially against lower sides such as Fulham. I'm going for a 3-1 win to Tottenham. Fulham's defence letting them down once again, not being able to keep up with the Spurs. So that is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe today to join the full 90. We're getting very close to 3,000 subscribers. Leave your comments down below for a chance to be featured in the Week 24 predictions video. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video very soon.